whether you know it or not, there is an awful lot of what they call disease mongering or disease branding. And what that is, just so that you know, it's taking ordinary human experiences and turning them into diseases. There are many of them out there, like say seasonal affect disorder. And what this is you're just not getting enough sunlight. And Webster defines seasonal affect disorder as a depression that comes as the days get shorter. Well, there is medicine for this. There are drugs for this. In forward healing, I would state, let's get some sun. If I wouldn't want to give you a disease, I would call it, you have a lack of sun's disease. But you can't really sell that and package that up in a bottle, but that's probably really what it is. But, you know, there's an amazing article that's in the British Journal, but I do want to share with you what they said. The British Medical Journal did a piece called Selling Sickness, the Pharmaceutical Industry and Disease Mongering. And they had stated, and this is pretty chilling for me because I think we know this, but to have it stated and written and in print by something as revered as the British Medical Journal. And the quote they said is, there's a lot of money to be made from telling healthy people they're sick. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to read much beyond that because I don't want to diminish the significance of that statement. I don't know if you are like me, but we can sometimes get distracted from what that statement is saying. And until we really understand what I'm proposing about forward healing, we truly cannot live with the level of dignity that we know we deserve, right? Am I making any sense? That only we can be the guardian at the gate of our own dignity. And only we can turn around and recognize that health is unconditional. You know, another story that I like to use is when you step off a curb and then your ankle swells. You know, we are told that the right way to handle that is to put some ice to bring the swelling down, as if this swelling is bad. And yet, when we break our arm, we put a cast on it to immobilize it because we know immobilization is better. Well, that's exactly what the swelling is doing, is trying to immobilize because unfortunately you injured the ankle, but of course it's inconvenient for us. And I think that's the biggest thing as I track this back around how do I become an advocate to really encourage people to participate more in the forward healing process, because I do believe it's very empowering. I do believe it produces more results of health. And what I really come up with was to make peace with being inconvenienced. I think that if we can make peace with being inconvenienced, like if we accidentally slip off a curb, yeah, maybe we can't go about our lives the way we did before. But isn't the modifications that we make or the changes that we make helpful because we're trying to really encourage the restoration of that area? So I know we want to pretend as if it didn't happen and throw the ice in there, but I think that that is the problem. And again, this is, again, to be food for thought. This is part of the stimuli that I think that brains will function very well having this kind of food, because you can consider, you can even play around with it, you can bend it, you can make it your own. You know, you can accept it completely, you can reject it completely. Most likely, you'll fall somewhere in between where you make this your own. And my purpose, or one of my purposes in life, I believe, is to save lives. And I think that the educated resource that we have in building community and encouraging a dialogue is so incredibly healthy. I mean, should there really be a threat in having a discussion or in hearing things? Because I propose that if something really doesn't sit right to the point that it triggers you or makes you or gives you unrest, the tendency is to go, oh, that's not for me, and walk away in order to regain that sense of peace, to address that unrest. But what that does is it actually imprisons you and forces you to break away from community rather than being the solution in your life and having a discussion. And I believe wholeheartedly that any disturbances that we access are what I call calls to answer. And though sometimes it may feel wise or intelligent to leave, like when you're in an abusive relationship, at some point you got to recognize that, hey, I'm the common denominator here. And am I going to continue to, what they call insanity, do the same thing in the same way and expect a different result? It doesn't happen. That's how I believe that life almost provokes us, if you will, to grow. But more importantly, looking at the brain neurologically, is stepping into your newer life and discovering what your newer life is. So for this talk, I developed something that I'm calling the forward healing process. And I would like to share it with you because it's very significant for me. And I believe that is saving lives, because it's not just about longevity. I'm not just talking about us living longer. When I talk about saving lives, I'm talking about tapping the full potential of what we're capable of doing, really addressing the quality of our life. And I realize in order to do that, I want to continue to offer cookies that perhaps may shift one person from this restorative therapeutics model to this forward healing model. And whenever you hear the word healing, to create an association that it means, oh, healing is about stepping well into my new life. Now, that means stepping well with pain. That means making the changes that may have caused the pain. Not necessarily caused the pain, but perhaps could have, like touching the stove. We talk about when you have pain from touching the stove, that's a warning sign. That's saying, hey, make a change, and the body naturally moves away from pain. But when you get more intelligent, you know not to even put your hand on the stove so you don't have to pull it away. And just to consider that some of the disturbances we have in our life are calls to answer. Just to even consider that is significant. So let me share with you what I call the forward healing process. I think you're going to appreciate it.